Right, recently me and Stephen put up a video saying we'll answer what questions we can answer as best as we can in a short amount of time. We put up the answer video and people were like, no, you missed mine, so I'm going to glaze through them as quick as I can. But if you can, guys, get yourself a copy of this Samurai Death Cult. I'll put a link below. Samurai Death Cult, it is dirt cheap on Kindle. It is only $2 on Kindle. I've made sure it is cheap. So let me go. I'm going to go through these quick though. So, and read my own handwriting. So what should the number one thing ninja students do? And to be honest, the simple answer to that is read the ninja books. Probably join Natori Ryu. I know that's my school, but the entire reason I put it together was to do that. Breakdown. I've done many books on how to be a modern samurai, modern ninjutsu. I've worked on how to be a modern samurai. Start to piece all them books together and start to learn it. The simple fact is you need to start from the scrolls and then pull out what you need from the scrolls. But I've done many videos on ninja, so right, Taoist magic. Could I do a book on Taoist magic? I would love to do a book on Taoist magic. I'm going to tell you one of them. It's one of them things. It's like a fog for me. I know a Taoist magic spell when I see one. I say, yep, that's Taoist magic. I'm there. I can see all the little bits and bats. But there must be so many specialists out there who've identified the different types. There'll be books on it. There'll be tomes of books on all the stuff, which is way outside of my remit. Probably, but oh, there's a guy, I forgot, he's a Chinese kung fu guy called Alex something. John Hayton knows him, and he does loads on Taoist spells. But the problem with that is people involved with Taoist spells, they tend to keep, they make an oath to say they won't pass it on, so it gets really complicated. How do clan flags work or evolve over time? Right, one of the things with this is it's quite interesting because heraldry in England clearly evolves over time. You see a very simple picture in the 1300s. By the time you're at the 1900s, there's complex multi-generational crests and all that. Now in Japan, you don't seem to really get that. You just get the same crests over and over again, but people create a new branch. So instead of having quartered and 8th and 16th sections of heraldry, you tend to get a new crest for a new clan. New crest. Oh, I'm going to branch off. We'll take this one. We'll do that one. Sorry for the creaking door in the background. There's a bit of wind going on. Now, somebody asked, is sumo and samurai connected? Did the sumo ever influence the samurai? That is a bloody good question. And you know what? I have no idea of the answer. I promise you guys, no idea. I actually don't know much about sumo beyond it's been there for most of the time. And they used to probably be slimmer than they are now, because when you look back at the old pictures, they're not the juggernauts they were. They're just sort of like meaty guys, because they still got to have, like, you know, a rice diet and everything, and a sort of, it's still medieval diet, but as best as they can eat it. So I have no idea, but that would be a great, the history of sumo. I'm sure there's a book out there. I'll have to get it one day. Somebody send me a book on the history of sumo and I'll give it a read. What is the Sengoku period reality? Well, this is something that I love. Something that came out, guys, is whenever I study ancient Japan, the one thing that becomes very obvious is that the amount of documents that exist for Sengoku period are mega small compared to the Edo period. Really, really small. And trying to get them translated or get them brought out is a difficult thing. So what I tend to do is just focus on the, when I go to museums, I differentiate in my mind the Sengoku period, the Edo period, and try and see that feel of what the Sengoku period is like. But from what I gather, the Sengoku period was a bit freer than the Freedom period, which was the period of peace. The Sengoku period seems to have less restrictions on travel, less social restrictions between the four classes, more rights for women, and it tends to be more, maybe not more artistic, but there is a lot of flowing art out there, a lot of fluidity between China, Thailand, the Southeast Asia, even the West come over, guns like Christianity comes over. It's a lot of a freer time. And then when the period of peace comes in, it's like going into a dictatorship. So actually, while the warring periods was difficult because it was forever full of famine, war in isolated areas, and then that area would flourish and that area would go mad, actually you had a bit of a freer time, but it's probably a bit more dangerous. Probably like today. When I was a kid, it was a little bit more dangerous, but, you know, people died. Somebody at school had died, because I knew one guy who fell through a roof and died, but another one got killed in like a car crash, nicked a car. The other one is like somebody died in the river because they got caught in a shopping trolley, or someone from another town. So you never, not many people died, but you did get a handful of people dying, and it tended to be a lot freer life with a lot more danger involved, a lot more gangs involved, a lot more violence involved, and you know, that type of thing. what period of Japan would I like to live in? Well, I know the question says period of Japan, but basically I don't think I'd like to go back to ancient Japan. If I go to any period in life, I would go to when Neanderthals met the Cro-Magnon man. I would love that. Like literally people coming across Europe and they meet the first wave of people, which is the Neanderthals, which are not this grubbly, proper thick set, bulky, broad-nosed Neanderthal, and then the slender, tall Cro-Magnons come along. It'd be like, yeah, I would love to do that. But if I could live in any time in Japan, early 1500s, when it wasn't mass warfare, but the warfare was small, and to go back, yeah, probably. I think earlier Japan is a little bit boring. Pre-samurai, too Chinese. Post Edo period would be horrific. That'd be the period of peace would be the worst period to live in by a long shot. Did Taoism affect Japan? Yes, very much. There's loads of it in there. Nobody ever talks about it. It's totally there. It's there. It's in loads of stuff. It's called Inyo or Omyodo in Japan, and it's literally just like if somebody's spilled really weak orange juice, like really, really watered down orange juice on a map, and you dry it out, and there's like that tint of orange across the map. That's Taoism in Japan. It's there, it's everywhere, but there's no single straight thing to look at. Did the shinobi wear grass sandals or tabbing? Grass sandals, without doubt. Grass sandals is by far the most popular thing. Would I like to have a trip to China? I would love to go to China, guys. I would love it. There's a museum there which apparently only the Chinese can go in, and that's their military spying history museum. Oh my God, to have a translator in a few months in there, God, it would be amazing. I'd look for the word dog first. Basically, the word dog means shinobi. And in ancient China, the word dog has come across, and dog thieves became this became a kanji used in Japan. Somebody asked, strangely, are the Koka Shinobi real? I'm a bit confused. Do they mean the modern version or the originals? The originals, of course, they're real. Same as the Iga. It's strange not to ask why the Iga ones weren't real, but they asked why the Koka ones are real. Koka ones are absolutely real, no problem. What's my favourite ninja book? Shoninki, True Path of the Ninja. The last chapter is the best thing I think I've ever read. It's obviously my book, but it wasn't written by me. We just translated it with the team. So basically, it was written by Isui Sensei, but Shoninki Gekkan, the last scroll, basically the best thing I've ever done. Are there any real ninjas today? No, there are not. Simple as that. You have to believe that somebody's a real ninja today. There are no actual ninja in practice today, and I've never met anyone that could satisfy the claims of having real ninja lineage to this day. Just nobody's ever satisfied those claims. Would I write a kid's book? I'd love to write a kid's book. I'd like to write a samurai ninja kid's book, and I've tried multiple times. I've done illustrations for it. It nearly got passed through once, but then sort of basically since the Bansen Shukai came out, which is the Book of Ninja, the love of Japan has died a death. I am small part to pay for that, because all the ninja, there's a few reasons. The ninja nutters, like, which was once me, from the late 70s to the year 2000, that 20-year gap, they were, say, 20, then they got into it. Then there's the 20 years of it happening, so it's 40. We're now 25 years after they're 65, coming up to 70-year-old. And those people just can't be bothered anymore. They're not scowling the internet and arguing with people. Like, the 70-year-olds are sat there in the garden now, retired, oh, I used to do ninjas back in 1975. You know what I mean? And they don't care. And then I've done all my research, which killed the end of that. And then nobody knew's coming into it. And now mixed martial arts and Joe Rogan and all that, that's become the new cool thing. Whereas in the 60s, 70s, 80s, it was like ripped guys with just doing karate, smashing through boards, and there's a ninja with a chain. Because you look at it now, if you remember, what I find funny is all the MMAs there, they're all like with the cauliflower ears and stuff, and you're like, okay, right, they're hard lads, I get them that. But in the 80s, it was like really ripped karate guys with chains and knives, and like, so it's gone from like, buy your own flick knife and buy your own ninja chain and shurikens and murder people, to here's some really protective gloves. Why don't you protect your ears from cauliflower ear? I'm like, yeah, men have changed. I remember men have changed so much from when I was a kid. Men were just scrapping all the time, and now it's like, look at the oils I use. Let's protect my ears. You know what I mean? And it's just cauliflower ears now, and in it, whereas in the day it was like, let's just knife each other. What do I think an AI ninja film? Yeah, I would love to see an AI ninja film. Let's get any AI people out there. Let's get it going. If somebody said AI based on my books, it would be amazing. Can I do a book on the Sengoku period? This goes back to the other set. Yeah, I would love to do. My number one goal would be have a museum, and I would break it up into 4 sections, pretty much. First samurai, then the classical samurai up to Kusunoki Master Shuriken, then Sengoku period, then Edo period. The 4 seasons, I'd call it, the 4 seasons of the samurai. That would be my museum I'd do, and you'd walk into each one, and only artifacts from that era, from them dates, would be there, and you go through it and you'd be like, okay. And then I would love to do it like Leeds. I'd mix Leeds Armory, so if you've ever been there, where it's got like the figures and everything up and the dioramas, and I would mix it with the London dungeons, so the what was it called? Not the Chamber of Secrets, that's Harry Potter. Oh, bloody hell. Chamber of Horrors, I'd call it, and I'd mix it with Chamber of Horrors, so you go in and it'd be like lightning in the background, all like effects with like LED lights, and the thing is, and somebody taking off somebody's head and like screams in the background and the sounds of fire. I would make the best museum ever. If only somebody could afford to give me about £50 million to make a museum. God, I would make the best museum you've ever come across. It would be amazing. So, did farmers wear armour in the 1500s and 1600s? Yeah, absolutely. This is the thing where everybody gets wrong. I can't understand how people don't get this in their mind. Toyotomi Hideyoshi disarmed the peasants. By that, it doesn't mean he just took the knives off them. He took their armour off them, their guns off them, their swords off them. Farmers used to wear 2 swords, and we've got one from the Book of Samurai series that literally says the only way to tell if it's a peasant force versus a samurai force is the use of flags. Their flags are not correct, and the way they use their flags are not correct. Because remember, it's just a rabble, from your opinion, when they come over the hill. They're just an armoured rabble. But he says you'll notice when they get into sort of formation, the flags do certain things by samurai, and he says peasants don't do that. So yes, you're looking at an armoured army coming across with different ways. They disarmed the peasants for a reason. So you know what I mean. 500 years of armour and swords floating around and not being illegal and being afforded by it's the same as cars. I've always said it's the same as cars. Nobody can afford a brand new car. It's too expensive. Well, not being nobody, but the average person can't afford I can't afford a brand new car. My girlfriend can't afford a brand new car. My cousins can't afford a brand new car. My brother can afford a brand new car. So my brother gets a brand new car, and he lent me his car, and that's how I've got a quite okay car. Because he's like, oh yeah, he's got like, he's really quite well off. So he's like, okay, have this car, Anthony. So I got rid of my crappy old one to someone else who's now got that old one, and I've taken on his ex car. And now suddenly you see it dissipate into the world. And that's how arms and armour dissipate into the world. They will last a few hundred years. Armour will last. You can repair it. Swords will last. You can cut them down once they've been chipped. They go through this life of their own. And it was an archaeological concept which we studied at university, which is from the planning of design to the destruction is the life of the actual object, not only the use. So for example, the idea was a pram. And I saw a pram in the street. It was broken, it was old, it was just on the side. It still wasn't dead, it was there. You could pick it up, it hadn't been melted down. Somebody designed that pram, somebody took it to a safety expert, somebody boxed it, got the packaging, had it made in China, shipped it to England. Somebody in England bought it in a shop. From then they put their baby in it, then they gave it to their cousin, then they gave it to someone else, then it went to a charity shop, then from a charity shop it was given to some beggar to carry his beer in, and then from that the beggar with a beer just threw it in the canal, and then from the canal it's been dragged up, put on the side, and then it's all torn, and then eventually now it's probably rotten away, or it's been put into a scrap heap and smashed and melted down. It's the same with swords. You're not just looking at that moment where the flashy samurai is doing stuff with it. There is a process to its life and death. No, there are no. Oh, where can you learn Kuji? Kuji, I've got a video on Kuji, and they're saying the esoteric stuff. This is the difficult one, guys, because right, I had the same. Where is the teaching? There's so many frauds. What you have to do, the best thing is get academic books on Buddhism and study Buddhism, and you'll find that you'll see the Kuji bits there. And they say, because they said they like the Dark Side of Japan, but the book has bits in there. But basically, that's the problem. Is it's bitty everywhere. There isn't actually a single syllabus you can do. There's lots of bits, and you can get the main normals, Rin, Pyo, Tosha, Kaijin, Retsai, Zen, and you do this. So you can learn the ones from Katori Shinto-ryu, which are in Katori Shinto-ryu's book, but then they're not the same as the Muhyoshi Ryu one, and they're not the same as the Soto Zen ones. And so it's a bit of all sorts. You build, so samurai used to build their own esoteric armory. So imagine you're in a store, yeah, you're in a shop, and there's 50 no, let's say 500 Taoist spells. There's 50 or 200 Buddhist spells. There's 400 Buddhist chants for certain things. There's 5 or 6 versions of Kuji on the shelf, and there's all this different stuff. And you go, I'll have that, we'll use that one, we'll put that in you. That's how they made their schools, and then they get passed down. So it becomes, oh, this is how it's really done. But no, they're just made up different ways. So you have to go through all the academic books, all the different places, and rebuild your own. So for example, Natori clearly has got his from various places and said, well, this is used for this, and we'll use this one for this. That's how they all did it. No, there are no ninja in Japan. Everybody, the people who said the last ninja, no, it's not true until just one of them, any of them it'll do, any of them. And I know and like some of them, and I don't like others, but none of them have come and said, here is our lineage charts. This is this guy. So the good thing is, like, I went to Hagihara Juzo recently. Hagihara Juzo's descendant, Mr. Hagihara, and he was like, yeah, here's a trunk full of stuff I've got. Here it is. Here's our official record with the thingy. There's the gravestone. There's the thing. You're like, ah. He's like, and I was like, do you study any of that? No, he says, I've never even read them. They've been in the loft. So, but these ones who say they are normally have the scrolls, they have the lineage, they have everything, but you're never allowed to see them. It's like, okay, come on. So, did ninja use weapons and chains and all that? So there is no ninja weapon per se that's really a ninja weapon. They're only used by shinobi for certain things. But did the ninjas use chains and sickles? The only use we see of sickles in Japan is to cut through bamboo in fences. Chains, not really. They basically use stuff like that for transporting, for securing, for climbing, all that sort of stuff. The only thing is, we did talk about this with Stephen, is basically they end up becoming criminal capture because ninja dropped in status, became criminal capture agents. And it's not that they took ninja weapons with them. The shinobi dropped into that job, and in that job you need thingies. So there isn't this ninja technique of this. Ninjas learn arresting techniques, you know, the use of rope, the use of chains, the use of swords, quick draw, and that doesn't make it ninja. That just means they went and did it, and they used their ninjutsu to track down the people, then using their martial arts skills to grab them. So yes, you might find a ninja using chains, but it doesn't make it ninjutsu. They are doing a different job because of the social reasons around them. I got a question about guns, about pistols. I'm going to be honest with you guys. You're best asking Gun Samurai about that one, or Samurai Gun. He's just far better than I am at that. You do see pistols, but not many of them. But I'm sure they're there. It's just they're probably not as cool as rifles, or well, not rifles, but muskets, arquebuses. Ooh, I was doing so well, and then priests. You know, I nearly didn't read my writing. Did we find that Katori and Kashima have priests in them? Are they samurai? Did they use samurai? Did they become spies? What you've got to remember, guys, is that many samurai they went into monasteries, they went into temples, they became priests, they retired. You can't keep going as a soldier all your life. A lot of them retired, let their sons take over, and then said, okay, I'm going to go in the temple now. So let's say I got $50,000 a year or $100,000 a year from the king to be a knight, yeah? So there's my $100,000, yeah? And then the problem you've got is they used to share it equally. Say I had 3 sons, I gave them 33,000 each. But then what happened was it was breaking down too much. So you say, okay, I'll give 75 to my main son, and then the 2 other sons get like 12 and a half each and whatever, you know, and then you break up in different ways. So that's how, then I go in the priesthood and let them carrying it on. So, or I die and they just carry it on. So you do find loads of samurais, priests, and loads of religious people do then basically attack and join forces. So you always find military aspects inside of Buddhist stuff. What is my next ninja book? Right, guys, I know you're all asking about the next ninja book. The problem has been there's been a load of different problems. One is the last book I did with Yoshie was about 6 years ago, and then Yoshie was just burnt out. She said, I just need some time. So I gave her a couple of years, just didn't even bother, just let her relax and all that. She had a divorce to go through, so she had to get through all that. It was not an easy divorce. She had to go, divorces take a long time, couple of years, 2 or 3 years, so I just left her to it. And in the meantime, I was writing Art of War, stuff like that, and everything. And now we've basically, she came back for a year or 2 and translated one of the Natori scrolls for me really slowly, because of the divorce she has to get a full-time job, right? So in this full-time job, it was much easier in the old days when I didn't have a son, I didn't have this home to, so I could just flip over to Japan, spend months typing up with her and doing all that. Now we've all got if the books had done super well, yes, you'd have all got loads of ninja books by now, but they don't. They do okay. They do enough to keep me from being in poverty, but not enough to run both of us. So Yoshi has a full-time job, and I have to do my own books along the side of it to keep this project going, and I have to get donations at the end of the year. But the simple fact is, Japan is not cool anymore. If I'd have released these books in the 1980s, I'd have been a very rich man, okay? If I'd have not gone against the Bujinkan at the beginning, 15, 20 years ago, I'd have probably still been a better, more well-off man, but principles is principles. You don't, what is right, okay? So we did that. So the next step, what we've got then I did the I Ching book, then I got the Yin Yang book, then I've done Book of Bushido, so I've got like 4 years, 5 years there, because they overlap by about 9 months when I'm writing them. And then I did my Tolkien book, but remember my Tolkien book got taken down by the Tolkien family, got sued by the Tolkien family, so I lost 2 years there. So all of this overlaps, and what it means is 6 years since me and Yoshi have done a book, and she came back to do a Natori scroll, but the Natori books don't sell as well as the ninja books. The ninja books do well and all that, so we've started to look at maybe, so the long and short of this is, guys, is Yoshi is now reducing her hours at work. She's starting to look at, we've got tons of ninja scrolls, probably about, I'm going to guess about that much worth of ninja scrolls to publish, maybe a bit more. Between that and the Book of Ninja, we've probably got about that translated ninja scrolls to publish. So we just have to translate them. When they're translated, they'll be about that big. So expect in the next few years a book like that to come out of ninja stuff. But unfortunately, we had a break. Also, we got to the point where the ninja was just the same. It was like, even though I love them, you love them, there's not enough ninja students in the world to qualify for 2 people to work 3 or 4 years producing a book like that, to then put it out there. There's just not enough ninja people since the Book of Ninja. Book of Ninja sold out immediately, and then sold really well after that, and then calmed down. But them ninja, but like I said, them Bujigan people, they've all gone now. Nobody cares. Now they know what the ninja is. They're like, oh, the mystery's gone, and I don't really want to do star charts or, spy networks and letters, and I don't want to know how to get through an old lock. I don't understand. It's just rubbish. So we've lost the ninja community, hence the man who killed the ninja. But as long as Yoshi, as long as we can get her to do it, because the problem is she works full-time, and she's a full-time translator, professional translator full-time, and she has to do this in her spare time. So whereas I am a full-time author and I do these Art of War, I'm a Samurai difficult in my spare time. So now we're going to hope the moons and the stars come back together so we can produce you another ninja book. So we'll stick with it. Did the ninja have straight swords? Right, we've argued this for many, many years. No, they didn't have a straight sword. Like, I'm a ninja, I've got a straight sword. And I'm a samurai, I've got a curved sword. But swords were getting pretty straight by the time the ninja are there. And they're not. Like, from tachi like that down to, like, this, and almost just a slight angle in the sword. It's almost straight with a slight angle. You do get that. So, but no, this idea that I'm a ninja, I have a straight sword, I'm a samurai, I have a curved sword. No, ignore that. How was Shuriken used in a fight, right? I still think Shuriken are the funniest things in the world. Like, people are like, this is secret ninja stuff. And all the swordsman guys are like, except here's the Shuriken from our school. And we're a Kenjutsu school. Ninjas, it's secret, everyone. These Shuriken are secret. Every sword school's like, with all the scrolls are like, oh, what is then? You know what I mean? And nobody ever points out, nobody ever says, like, all the sword schools in Japan that show the Shuriken must be wrong because the ninja made a secret one. It's like, every samurai in Japan would have done some sort of swordsmanship in the heyday of the samurai, and they all had, or not all, but the majority had some sort of secret hidden weapon stuff. So you can imagine the ninja going, right, guys, you've all been admitted to our school. You're all swordsmen, but you've done so well. We're gonna do it. I'm gonna show you our secret weapon. Ta-da! A shuriken. And all the swordsmen are like, what? Nobody ever points this out. So basically, shuriken are a distraction weapon. I don't like using the term distraction weapon, as I've pointed out before, because it's a bit of an understatement. Have you ever got a metal spike, thrown it at high velocity to the point where you're going to pierce, and it could literally pierce my heart, through my throat, and say, oh, I'm distracted. It's like, no, you're more than distracted, but there's no other word to use for it. It's a distraction. But it's like, so usually these are held in the hand, thrown, and then you draw and kill, or they're thrown in that hand and thrown and they come in, or you could have your katana in that hand and thrown and then come in and kill. And then the opposite is you get your katana and you take off your jacket and you hold it up and take the shuriken and then cut with it and kill. So there's all that sort of stuff, guys. So there, I hope I answered. There is one more question on horses, right? Which I know the gent who's asked me has asked me a million times, but I will try. But his question is how a horse is used in combat and teams and all that. It's actually a really, really difficult question. I have got his email and I'm going to get onto it. But so just to warn you, the answer is not amazing because we don't actually know, or the information is probably there, but it would take eons. What you guys have to remember, right? What you guys have to remember that nobody really realizes is I'm holding down the fort for about 20 different people, right? Oh, what do we know about Taoist magic? It would take someone about 3 years to do a university degree and produce a thesis that says an introduction to Taoist magic. Yeah, but people say, Anthony, what can you tell us about Taoist magic? Like, I haven't done a 3 year study of Taoist magic. Anthony, could you write another ninja book? Takes about 3 or 4 years. Okay, get on that. You know what I mean? Anthony, tell us about Shuriken. You know what I mean? Like, I would love, guys, and I love these questions and I love answering them. But remember, I'm only ever a step ahead of you. That is the thing. I'm a step ahead of you. That's it. I literally have this information and I share it with you, or I put it in a book and put it out there. So I am forging my way. I've been at this 20 years now, since the year 2004. Yep, I first went to Japan and that's when I first decided. But I've met Yoshi a few years after that. So realistically, Yoshi, then Miyako, and then the monk and all this, and then my different contacts in Japan. And I have different people to ask. I've been doing this for about 15 years properly. Yep. And bit by bit, I'm accruing information that I can, that fits into that. So the way you guys have to think of it is I don't want to finish till I'm 80. So I'm 46 in a few days, right? Happy birthday, me. So that means I've got about 34 more years left or something of doing this, right? If my maths is right, so add to the 450. Yeah, about 34 more years of doing this. And I want to retire at 80. Grizzly old man, you'll see me on YouTube. Grizzly old man, bald head. He's been doing this in 2004. Olive oil. And what I'm going to do is create the biggest jigsaw in the world. And that is the pieces of the puzzle that I am putting together. Shuriken. Okay, that goes in the Shuriken section. Oh, there's another piece of Shuriken section. So then when it comes to it, because 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I couldn't answer these questions. And people were like, oh, you know nothing. And rightly so, I didn't. But I asked the questions and now I have the answers. So I'm asking more questions now. How can we identify the different Taoist magic? How can I identify the history of the Shuriken? What are the different words for ninja? Where do they come from? Are they words for ninja, or are they just assumed to be words for ninja later on? Or is it an umbrella term for any one covert? All these questions are coming together. But I need a team. Luckily, I've got one more. See, since I've been chatting to you guys, I've got another Chinese translator on my team now who works with me, and I've also got another person who's native level Japanese translator, loves old school stuff and will help me translate. But they have a really busy job, so in the 30 or 40 minutes a day they can squeeze in, they translate something. So every day there's a little increment of a new little piece goes in. I'm like, okay. And we're working on a book on Yagyu together from the documentary I did. We're going to work on a Yagyu book that's going to come out, and I'm working on the old Chinese things, and maybe do another self-published book like I did with Samurai Death Cult, just as a small thing to keep you guys going. I am working on a Zen book at the moment, and after that, but I am starting to branch out into other things, so my time's becoming a bit more difficult, because I also want to, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm really interested in Western culture and tradition. I did another channel called Western Culture and Tradition because I love the idea of the English culture and of that as much as I love Japanese culture. And I would love to, therefore, instead of being 20 people answering the stuff in Japan, I'm 40 people answering the stuff for England as well. But I just need, and it's all possible if we just sell more books. That's it, sell more books. At the minute, it's a healthy, the publisher's happy, I get my wages in, I'm scraping through, but I'm there, and it's, you know, according to the publisher, like, yep, you're doing well, Anthony, but we need to sell loads and loads more books, so I can just go, right, get this house built, finished, because at the minute, for the next year or so, I'm going to have 6 hours a day gone on that. So my time pressure is crackingly, like, in a point. They're out there working now, well, I've got to do this. As you can see, I'm like disheveled and all that. I've been putting up insulation in a roof. So simply because to pay for a building team to come and do that would be way outside of our budget. So, but I'll give you another update, guys, later in summer. So what, in a few years, 2 or 3 years, which seems like a lot, but stay with me till I'm 80, that'll all be finished and done. I'll be back to working full time. I'm going to have a purpose-built office here, a purpose-built dojo, and then you'll see. So within the next 4 years, you should see a big difference in this channel, up to like full-on YouTube studio where it's not just this piece of black cardboard behind me in a caravan while I do a job. You'll see everything, the office, I tour my office, the Ninja Scrolls, the stuff I've got collection, all my books will be back out. I'll be having the model tables for my miniatures coming out, and I'll do war gaming, show you how the samurai used to do it. My friends have got 3D printers now, so we can 3D print some samurai and stuff like that. We've got tons we can do. So I hope you all look forward to it, guys. That's 30 minutes, so I'll stop it here. I hope you enjoyed that, and that's the questions answered. Yes, I will answer the horse question. Give me a bit of time. I've just got to get away from this build. Give me a bit of time. I'm going away for the weekend with my family, so I will speak to you all later. Please do get yourself a copy of Samurai Death Cult. Keep me in this project. Keep it going, and I promise you I will keep bringing you answers of stuff.